Hello everybody, how's it going? It's me, Crendor, and welcome back to Crendor Talks in front of a shitty green screen. Today, I'm going to be talking about the General's Handbook. That's a troll. The General's Handbook. That's still a troll, but he's on a book. 2022-2023, Season 1. The fact that they say Season 1 probably means they're going to be doing a Season 2, I would imagine. Maybe that means this book's only going to be 6 months, and then they're going to do a new season. Maybe the next year's will just be called Season 2. I doubt it. I think they're going to do 2 books, but whatever. I don't really care, because it's like, if you're playing tournaments and competitive, I think it's fun because it kind of shakes up the meta a bit every so often, and it allows them to change more. And if you're playing casual, you know, it's more to learn, but at the same time, you could always be like, yo, let's play with the 22-23 rules, and then they, you know, the person you play against could be like, yeah, that sounds good. So, you know, nothing holds you back from doing that. But we'll see. I'm a person that likes change, so the fact that the meta would be changing up a lot, I actually enjoy. In the grand scheme of things, it's probably still going to be easier to remember than playing 40k with like 800 stratagems and secondaries. Dude, I've played like 10 40k games or something, maybe a little more, maybe like 12, and I still struggle with like scoring, like point scoring, like secondary objectives, remembering my I got most of my stratagems down, but there's still some where I'm like, I think I have a stratagem that does a thing here, and it's also, all my friends are now watching 40k lore videos, and I'm like, dude, come on down to the Warhammer train, choo-choo. But anyway, listen, I'm about to hit 3 years of doing Warhammer miniatures and painting and all this stuff, and I'm loving it, man. I still love it. I'm currently building, I'm finishing up my Night Haunt. I pretty much have a full Night Haunt army, so I'm ready to go for that new book. But anyway, the new General's Handbook. So it seems like they're going to be more focused on infantry, because the previous season, the one we're currently in, it was monsters, right? Monsters, monsters, monsters. You get more victory points and points in general for killing monsters, for doing things with monsters, monstrous actions, right? There's so many different things with monsters. But it seems like going forward, they really want to get back to infantry, right? They're like, a lot of these infantry have been fighting these monsters, and so they've gotten better at fighting monsters, and they're going to have their own tactics and stuff. So it seems a little more like they're leaning back towards the Horde meta, right? Skaven, which I guess it kind of lines up because Skaven's like a Horde faction, and the book's coming out like probably around the same time as the Skaven book, so it's like, ah, look, here we go. Although, you know, Skaven people are freaking out. I still, that's a whole different video. I'm not gonna do it. I think it'll be fine. And by fine, I don't mean like you're gonna get a whole model reset. I mean, I think the rules of the army will be fine. I don't think we're gonna get a new warlock instead of a metal warlock that I still have to build. Besides the point. So, I'm curious to see what they do with battle tactics, because I'm gonna go over the things that I'd like to see. I forgot to even mention that, I think. Whatever. So, battle tactics, right? Currently, the battle tactics, what do you have? You have control 2 objectives and you're not wholly within your territory. You have kill the opponent's general, kill a battle line, run 3 units, and if they're monsters, you get a bonus point. You have kill a monster? I think kill a monster is one. You have control a point with a monster. That's probably the stupidest one, man, because you can just, and it can't be contested by another monster. I guess that's the big thing. But like, you can be like, all right, I'm gonna do my battle tactic of my monster controls my point in my territory. It's like, all right, cool. And then what were the other ones? There's like a couple other ones, right? And so like, some of them feel better than others. I do like things like kill the battle line, kill your opponent's general, because it kind of makes your focus go in that one thing, right? You're like, I think with my army's ability and how I am right now, I can do this thing that I need to do. Like, I can take your battle line out that's right here. Or I can kill your general this turn, or I can kill this monster. I like those a lot. And it kind of makes your focus go away from, like, I have to take this objective to, like, I want to control the objective, but I also have to do my battle tactic. And I like that. I think the ones that encourage you to play the game in a slightly different way are the ones I enjoy the most. I think my least favorite that I do all the time is the run 3 units or the run 3 monsters. Like, the amount of times I've played Seraphon and I just have like a Stegodon, a Carnosaur, and whatever, a Bastiladon, whatever. You have like a jillion monsters. And you go, all right, I'm going to run them, and you move them up like 2 inches, and you're like, there you go, they ran. That's a bonus victory point, did it with monsters. Like, that's just, it's not even fun. Like, it allows me to win, but it's just, it's not fun. It's not engaging, really, you know what I mean? And we need more engaging things. Like, I would rather that one be like, complete a charge with a monster. At least that makes you have to like do something, right? You have to get in the charge range. Maybe you're like 8 inches away on the charge and you're like, oh man, I gotta hope I get this, and then if I gotta re-roll it, oh boy, here we go. Because you committed to it, right? You have to land this charge. But if you're only like 3 inches away, you're like, oh, I could do that, but maybe they redeploy, who knows? Like, it allows back and forth engagement between the 2 players instead of like, I ran 3 guys. So, I mean, that's what I would say with battle tactics, and then the other ones I think are okay. Although I think some of the objective, I think they'll get it right. I think they'll tweak it just enough to get it right. And it's going to be interesting with the new battle line one, or the new infantry ones, and like, I guess it would be battle line. Maybe there's going to be things like, you know, take an objective with a battle line, or kill a monster with a battle line. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of battle line ones, right? And I'm sure there might be even some buffs for battle lines. Like maybe how we have monstrous actions currently, maybe we'll have like battle line actions, right? Like maybe they get +1 to save if they're fighting a monster or something, because they're so strong against monsters now. Maybe they get +1 attack against monsters. Maybe they get +1 damage against monsters. They could do like once a game or something. I don't know. We'll find out, but I do like the way they're going with this. And it's going to be fun because it will shake the meta up, right? It's not just going to be, I played my dragons today. So that's one thing. The other thing is I'd love more scenery rules. So after playing 40K, scenery is like so important, right? You're like, I got my cover, you know, I can, you know, is that breachable terrain? What kind of terrain is that? Okay, we can go over here. Like, but in Sigmar, it's like the most useless thing. It's like, okay, this thing's in my way. That's it. Or like, oh, I'm standing next to it, so maybe I get a bonus. Like chameleon skinks get a bonus near cover. That's like it. Like, I want some actual cool terrain rules. I think that would be really neat. You know, it doesn't have to be like crazy 40K terrain rules, but just something different than just like the ones that we currently have, because like nobody likes those. Well, like, it's mystical terrain and then we'll roll for it's whatever, and it's like, it's just, it doesn't feel cool or like it impacts the battle really. And I want the terrain to feel like you have to engage with it, you know what I mean? I think that would be really neat. Maybe if it's like this big wall, you know, it puts you out of line of sight from getting shot by... So, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's got to be some ways to make it a little more interactive, all right? Because right now, like, really, like I said, the only way I've been impacted by terrain is like, oh, I can't go to the point because this thing is just in the way. Like, that's it. I'm not like, I got to get my guys in the cover, because I'm like, I don't care. Like, they're going to get shot no matter what happens here. Most of the times people just shoot over terrain because it's just small terrain anyway. You know, line of sight, whatever. So I would like some really cool terrain rules, updated terrain rules. And then usually, I mean, the other thing they update is just different types of maps. That'd be cool. I'd actually like some more 2v2 style maps, because I've actually played a decent amount of 2v2 games lately, and there's really nothing for that. So I think it'd be cool to do some, you know, they don't have to do a lot, maybe like 2 or 3 game types for 2v2s, because I feel like most people have played like a 2v2 once or twice at least. So, you know, it would encourage you to play with more friends and mix it up a little bit. You know, it doesn't have to be like tournament stuff, just like a little casual player thing. That'd be neat. And then I guess the other thing is just point values, which usually they adjust all the point values every season anyway, and after last season, all the points started going up, which is why this year everyone's like, dude, I looked at my new Battletome and the points are going up. Well, it's like, yeah, everybody's points are going up because the map got smaller. And they're like, well, we don't want you to run as much stuff since the board size shrank, so the points go up. That seems to be like the thing, which I don't mind it. I mean, I still feel like the games are pretty competitive. I like the board size they changed in Dominion. I think it's really good. So, I mean, I got no problems with it. So we'll see what happens with point changes. I mean, there's still plenty of units that need to be adjusted points-wise that I'm surprised haven't been adjusted. I mean, things like Salamanders and Seraphon. Things like, you know, Kragnos has been all over the place. He was like he's bad. Then he's really bad. Then he was like, okay. Then he's really good because they gave him the ward save. So it's like, he's been like all over the place. The weird part even in Seraphon was they have the Saurus, Old Blood on Carnosaur, and then they have the Saurus, the other dude on Carnosaur, and he's like 100 points cheaper or something, and I'm just like, everyone just runs him because he's like 100 points cheaper. It's like, why don't we just balance it out a little bit? There's like so many different things that just need balancing, and part of me is like, oh, maybe it's because they're getting a new book, but then they don't get a new book, and I'm like, well, it was balanced. I don't know. So I always look forward to the points changes, I guess what I'm trying to say here. So obviously, I would like a more balanced point system. The points are also going to be free, which is really nice. Normally, they weren't free, and now they're actually going to be free, which I guess they did with 40K, and now they're doing with Age of Sigmar. So that'll be nice at least, because there's so many times, too, where I'm just like, what point's this? And then I have to, like, I don't have my General's Handbook near me, and I'm like, I'll look on the internet, I guess. And I don't know. So I'd say, you know, those are my main things. And then, oh, I almost forgot. This was, like, the biggest one is I would like to lower... well, two things. One is that I'd like to lower the amount of rerolls, which seems to be what they're doing already, right? Some people are for and against this. I'm actually for lowering the amount of rerolls because, to me, I think it's really fun when you're playing the game and it's like, oh, I rolled badly. That's that, right? It just feels natural. Instead of like, in like 40K or something, it's like, oh, I'm hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s. And it's like, oh, so like pretty much everything is gonna hit. Awesome. You know, it doesn't feel as good when you hit somebody and you wound somebody. You're like, oh, that's like, I got four wounds on you at -2. And then it's like, all right, oh, wait, I get to re-roll those saves. Like, oh, okay, so you failed 3 of them, and then you re-rolled, and now you failed 1. And then you ward save and take 1 damage, right? It doesn't feel good, so I get why they're lowering rerolls. I think it speeds up the game as well, and I think that's another thing they try to do. Is it's like it just slows everything down. I don't think it feels good to play against, and it's just, I don't know. That's how I feel about that. Then shooting. Shooting's the other big one, where, you know, 40K, it's like everybody's shooting everywhere and you get in cover and everything. The problem is, again, the terrain rules with Age of Sigmar, and then the cover, there's like barely any cover, and so you're just out in the open getting shot. Which, like, you know, medieval fantasy, right? Like, you should still have some cover, like forests and some ruins and stuff, but obviously you're gonna have a lot less cover than 40K, where there's buildings and everything like that, because you're out, like, fighting in the open fields and terrain, whatever it might be. But I think the biggest issue with Sigmar is the range of shooting. Sometimes it feels like something can shoot from, like, 30 inches. It's like shoots across the board. And then other times, some things are like, oh, we got 12-inch range. And I think it's actually better to have shorter range. I think it's okay to have some long-range stuff, like artillery pieces, like the, the kill bow. I think is something where you're like, yeah, that would have a really long range, right? And then, I don't know, there's, like, Skaven have catapults. I don't know what those are going to be in the new tome, but, whatever. Like, there's plenty of things that can be artillery pieces, you know what I mean? And it feels like sometimes there's just units that just shoot really far that shouldn't. I think having mid to short range shooting is actually something to be really nice, because you're also putting yourself in danger of getting hit, And then, you know, melee combat occurs. They have to make charges. And, you know, I think there's more strategy that ends up coming from mid to short range shooting. So I'd like to see shooting, you know, calm down a little bit. But I think they know that. I think a lot of people know that. And yeah, I mean, you know, there's always going to be some factions that benefit from that and some that, you know, get shit on essentially. But those are kind of all my thoughts on the current Age of Sigmar meta and what I want going forward. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you next time. Okay? Okay. See ya. Wow. Wow. Wow.